Well, joining us tonight, Republican frontrunner Donald Trump, picking up more delegates in the Arizona presidential primary. Donald, great to have you with us. And if I may, I want to begin with getting your reaction to what happened in Brussels. And if you would, I'd like to share first, though, a headline from the New York Times 2 months ago, if we could put that up, as the New York Times mocked Trump, as he pointed out, the hellhole that was Brussels and the fact that the radical Islamist terrorists within Brussels were becoming a frightening, frightening problem to Europe. Donald, great to have you with us. Your thoughts after I put that in a bit of context, if I may.
Well, thank you. It's an honor, Lou. And, you know, it is very sad. And Brussels was a great place, and it was a brilliant city. It was a beautiful, beautiful city that was, you know, crime-free and no problem. And this is years ago, and I was there many years ago, briefly, but I've never forgotten how beautiful it was. And I have friends that go there quite a bit, and they hate to go there now. It's a hellhole, they call it, and it's a horrible situation that's taken place. They've let radical Islamic terrorists, you know, be there. There's a tremendous hatred. You know, they asked me during the debate, they talked about the hatred, and I said, absolutely there's hatred. I don't want to be politically correct. And everybody was so shocked that I would say that. Well, there is hatred. There's something going on that's really bad. But Brussels is an example of it. And don't kid yourself. You go to Paris, you have sections of Paris where the police don't even want to go there. And they probably have areas where they actually practice Sharia law. It's very, very horrible to women. It's horrible in many different ways. And you have many other cities that I don't have to mention because I'm not making this call to destroy cities all over Europe and all over the world. But where this happens, bad things happen. Bad things happen and terror happens. And I mentioned that. And that's right. I actually mentioned it 6 months ago, and I mentioned it again relative to a question. And the Times did a big story that I was doing something wrong about Brussels. I tell the truth, Lou. I tell the truth.
Yeah, they tried to mock you, suggesting you were insulting Brussels,
Right.
when in fact it turns out you were very prescient indeed. You also took up the issue of restructuring NATO and the issue of greater burden sharing on the part of the European nations in NATO. And quickly, Senator Ted Cruz went after you, suggesting that the bombings suggested in Brussels suggest that that's a very bad idea. Your reaction to the senator's interpretation?
Well, first of all, Ted is, you know, I call him lying Ted Cruz because I've never, ever seen anybody that lied like this guy. I mean, I've dealt with people much tougher than Ted, but I've never dealt with anybody that lies as much as him, and he's known for it. I mean, he'll lift up the Bible high, and then he'll put it down, and he'll start lying about things, and I've never met anything like it. I've never seen anything like it, and this is beyond a normal politician. Even Rubio, during one of the debates, was complaining that, you know, Ted lies so much. And, you know, I just say this. I want to be truthful. Sometimes it's not necessarily politically correct, but people are agreeing with what I'm saying, Lou, and you understand it, and I watch your show a lot. And first of all, I want to just, you know, I appreciate your honesty. Not your support, because you're not supporting me, but you're a smart guy who's honest, who I've watched for so long, I mean, including at CNN, and frankly, Fox is lucky to have you.
Well,
and I love your show. I love your show. That's why I'm doing your show right now, and because I took a day off. I said, I'm going to have a day off, and they said, oh, would you do Lou? I said, I will do Lou. Wow. Because you really tell it like it is, and I appreciate that. But I like to, maybe I could say the same thing. I like to tell the truth. And if it's not good enough, and if voters aren't going to say, well, I want Trump, that's okay. I'll go back to my life, and I'll have a much simpler life. I mean, my life was very good. This is a very complicating factor, I will tell you, as well as I'm doing, and I think we're doing really well. Still, it's a certainly much more complicated life. So. But I do want to tell the truth because someday somebody's going to have to tell the truth because the world is collapsing. And you look at what Merkel has done in Germany, it's a disaster over there. You look at a small part of Sweden where they have a section that's, you know, where people are moving, people that just migrated in. It's a disaster. You look at what's going on throughout the world now, and that our country is so ignorant as to take thousands and thousands of people in that we have no idea where they're from. There's no documentation. There's no anything. And you watch. It's going to lead to lots of problems.
Donald, we have reports, several reports today, that the Border Patrol, in point of fact, is falsifying documents. The Homeland Security Department is vastly understating the number of illegal border crossers who get away from the Border Patrol attempting to apprehend them. The fact is that we now know that the Obama-led Homeland Security Department and Customs and Border Patrol simply are not doing their jobs. They're not doing their jobs at the order of this president, and in fact falsifying the information about the flow of illegal immigrants and smugglers across that border.
Well, I'm not surprised to hear it. I will say this, Lou. I was in Laredo, Texas, and I was there at the invitation of the Border Patrol and Border Patrol people that work for the Border Patrol. And I think they're incredible. I think they really want to do their job, and they're not allowed to do their job. I think they feel very guilty. I think they're very proud people. They're equipped to do their job. They want to do it, and they're told to stand back, and they're told to let things happen that they don't want to. You know, that's not what they do. I mean, they're professionals. I was very impressed with them. I really believe that if somebody was, you know, if we had the right leader, if we had a leader that said, hey, wait a minute.
There's no question.
I really believe they do a great job, but they're not allowed to do their job, Lou.
I understood and agreed. Let me turn to this exchange of tweets. The Cruz PAC, Super PAC, well, I shouldn't say that. They're actually just anti-Trump, they say, led by Liz Meyer, who is a former campaign deputy campaign director for Mitt Romney, sending out a vicious, to me, it was a vicious attack on you and reaching to your wife. Then the exchange with you and Senator Cruz, an exchange of threats, if you will. An extraordinary display. Are you going to continue, and I've heard you answer this 100 times with probably 100 different people, but it seems to me that this is one in which, when wives are brought into this, it requires a different approach altogether. I want to just get your thoughts about how you're going to proceed from here and what you think the standard should be.
Well, you know, I'm glad you asked me the question because I thought it was terrible. First of all, it's GQ magazine, which is a very mainstream, nice magazine. You know, it's a good magazine. And they had my wife on the. My wife was a very, very successful model, like really successful, and beautiful woman and all. And she did a shoot for GQ, and I think it was a cover shoot or whatever. It was a cover picture, but it was a good issue, very successful issue, and it was a shoot for GQ magazine. So Ted Cruz, knowingly, I mean, he said he didn't know, but that's again why I call him Lying Ted. Ted Cruz, knowingly, in my opinion, had this article sent all over Utah, had the picture saying, you know, is this what you want? Essentially, is this what you want for a first lady? First of all, she'd be a great first lady, and she's very smart. Right. And you've seen her being interviewed recently, and frankly, she'd be outstanding. But again, as a model, she did shoots, and that, you know, like all of the models they do, that's what they do. I mean, it's one of those things. And it was, you know, it was framed in such a way like it was really a terrible thing, and it was sent to a certain group, and I thought it was disgraceful. And Ted Cruz knew about it. Just like Ted Cruz knew, and he denied it, that when during Iowa he said that Ben Carson has quit the race. He's quit the race. He's out of the race. Take my people and vote for me, Ted Cruz. Because Ben Carson has left and he is out of the race. Now, he knew about that, and immediately after the election ended, he called Ben Carson and apologized. Well, that didn't help Ben Carson because Ben lost a lot of votes. And frankly, I would have won Iowa, I think, if that didn't happen, because he took a lot of votes away from me. I mean, you know, he added a lot of votes to himself, which he shouldn't have been able. But he lied about it.
Well, you're doing pretty well. He lied about
this too.
You're doing pretty well despite that. But to my question about a standard here. Are you going to assert a standard because of the bringing in wives of candidates is so unseemly? Your thoughts about?
With you. Oh, I agree with you. I mean, I wrote. I said, be careful because otherwise I'll have to start talking about, your situation. Now, do I like doing that? No. Should that have been done by him? And he knew absolutely about it. I mean, think of it, Lou. He doesn't know that this is being sent and earmarked to a certain group in Utah. Give me a break. I mean, he knew all about it.
Well, personally, I will tell you, I think that any super PAC, working for any candidate, it should be held, the candidate should be held accountable, and there is no question of the relationship of the people running this super PAC, the money that they are receiving, and from whom. So I think that responsibility is usually clear. I've got to ask you,
these people, just to finish it, but these people worked for Romney, as I understand it, and Romney is with Cruz, and so they all knew about it, and Romney's no better than they are. You know, Romney's a guy who ran a terrible campaign. He choked like a dog. He choked absolutely like a dog. That was a campaign that should have been won easily, and he was unable to do it. He quit. He quit, and he just, that last month, and you remember it better than I do because you had to cover it, he quit. Yeah. And Obama won an election that Obama never should have won. And now Romney is, trying to. Well, I don't know what his problem is, but he's got some big problems. But Romney knew about it, and Cruz knew about it, and it was inappropriate. And some people thought it was actually a fine picture. It was fine. It was a cover of GQ. So what are you going to do?
Exactly. And I want to turn to, as we wrap up here, I've just got to. I'd like to get a sense. I think our audience would like to get a sense from you. You are now confronting not only your opponents in the field, you're confronting the national liberal media. You are being, you are being attacked by what have become junkyard dogs from every quarter, including the establishment, the GOP elites, who are also going to be setting the rules for the convention. They're going to be running the convention and will, in effect, have the fate of the nominee in their hands if you don't have 1,237 delegates. What are your thoughts as you're going through this battle? Because it is, I can only begin to imagine what it's like to be hit so often from so many quarters by those who one would expect in normal circumstances would actually be supporting.
Well, it's an amazing thing. You know, I won Florida in a landslide, and yet $38 million of negative attack ads were put on me by the Republicans. These weren't the liberals. These were Republicans that put them on. Club for Growth, who wanted me to give them $1 million. And when I said no, they went negative on me, like extortion. Some of these groups that did, they spent $38 million in a short period of time, like in a 2-week period, and I won in a landslide. I'm even wondering, are ads worthwhile? Hey, Lou, when you see that, and then you see that I beat Marco Rubio, who is going to be the face of the Republican Party, by 20 points, it was actually, you almost have to question, what does an ad mean? Why are people spending money on ads? But it is very, very disconcerting when I've added millions and millions of people. And as you know, because you cover it well, the biggest story in politics today is the millions of additional people that are voting for the Republicans. And by the way, the Democrats are down 35%. The Republicans, some states are up over 100%, turning out for the primaries. And these are people, some people never voted before, many people that are Democrats that are coming over, and many independents. And they should embrace that, Lou. And if they don't embrace it, they're going to lose the election, because the Republicans, a normal Republican cannot win an election because structurally it doesn't allow you to win an election. So they're going to have another Democrat president, and that president is going to pick 4 or 5 Supreme Court justices who are very liberal, and that's going to be the end of our country as we know it. It'll be a disaster. So you would think they would embrace what's happening, because millions and millions of people, you saw it last night in Arizona, where people are standing 5 abreast on lines trying to get in. Yeah, trying to get in to vote for me. They wanted to vote for me. And you would think that the Republicans would embrace it. And I'll add Michigan, I'll add New York, I'll add states that they wouldn't even campaign in, and I think these are states that I'm going to win. So
how about
it's a
Wisconsin?
Very sad thing. It's very sad to watch, actually.
How about Wisconsin?
I think we'll do well in Wisconsin. I hope to do well in Wisconsin, and we should do well there. But, they're spending millions and millions of dollars on ads. Yeah. And honestly, if somebody else would get this, it's almost like, how do you pick somebody that's gotten millions of less votes? I have 3 million more votes than anybody else, which is a massive amount. That's like more than voted last time. Right. How do you pick somebody that had millions of less votes? Because a little bit to 1237, I think we're going to get there. Well, but don't forget, Lou, I've been running against 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 people. No. So how do you get 1,237, which is half? How do you get 1,237 when you've had to beat all of these additional people? So it's a little bit unfair.
Some comfort for you in that. In the newest Fox poll, just about 60% of Republican voters believe the person with the most delegates going into that convention should be the nominee.
That's great.
Donald
That's
Trump,
great.
thanks for spending your time with us. We appreciate it. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much, Lou. Greatly appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. We're coming right back. A lot more here tonight, and we've even got time for it. Maybe just barely, but we've got time. Stay with us. A lot more straight ahead.